Hey ladies, welcome to High Heels and Destiny. I am so glad that you are tuned in with me tonight. I am late tonight. I am doing this interview. We have the Queen Blakes here with us today, and she's going to share her testimony. So I'm going to allow her to just say hello to you guys. I'm just so happy to have her a part of this platform. You guys, as you all know, that I like to bring different stories that can be a blessing to other ladies. And me and her was talking. I was like, "Oh my God, I would love for you to share your story." And we actually supposed to be did this last one in the month of October about domestic violence, and there was just so many things that came in the way. But despite thereof, we are still here, and we are still determined to give this message to you guys. So, you guys, today we're going to be talking about domestic violence. This is a very sensitive topic. And so I'm going to try to be as easy as possible as I can with the questions. So if I ask you something that may be a little bit that you don't want to answer, just say you'll really not answer it. Okay. So I try to be as sensitive as possible with these questions, but I know it's so many questions that women have when it comes to domestic violence. So I try to think as many questions as possible, you guys. So we're going to just jump right in it or whatever. So, okay. LaQuinn, what age did you get married at?
Goodness, I think I was 20, 21.
21. Okay. What attracted you to your husband, and what was it like when y'all first met?
My ex-husband.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what,
Oh,
yeah.
let's clear that up. Let's clear that. The
This is her
ex-husband.
ex-husband. This is not her current husband. I repeat. Well, of course we know this is not your current husband because you wouldn't be doing this video. So this is definitely her ex-husband. She'd have moved on. So I repeat, this is her ex-husband. Because she wouldn't be doing this video, y'all, if it was her current husband, okay? She wouldn't be doing this video. I hope not.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah. So the question was, what attracted you to your ex-husband? Let me put an X in front of that, matter of fact, so we can clarify that. What attracted you to your ex-husband, and what was it like when you guys first met?
He was the perfect gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
He opened the door,
Open
pulled out chairs.
it.
He was like the ideal person who you write about. Hey, I want my husband to be God fearing. I want him to respect me. I want him to like my parents.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to like my parents. I want him to do this. I want him to do that. And he was all of that.
Okay.
That's what attracted me to him.
Okay. So you said he was like the perfect guy. Perfect is a very strong word. Define what perfect means, because when I see something that's perfect, it scares me to death. Like I'm gonna run. So you just actually defined it what perfect meant. So you really don't have to go
At
there.
that time, that's what perfect was in my mind. But now perfect is not, there's no such thing as perfect.
But at that point in time, you know how like the saying when they say when you meet somebody it's like it's too good to be true. That's like that. Did it ever resonate in your mind like, no, this is like kind of too good to be true? Did that ever resonate?
Nope. It was
Then,
like, yes, I'm being swept away.
so my next question, which you kind of already just kind of got into it a little bit, him being perfect didn't send any red flags. Did you ever see any red flags that pushed you? That I'm sorry. That yeah. Did you ever see any red flags
The one red flag that I, now looking back, that I see
before you guys got married?
before.
Yeah, before you guys got married, when you looked at
Okay.
him as perfect, did you see any
One
red flags?
thing that stood out was he didn't talk to his mom that often.
Mm-hmm.
That's what stood out. Because for me, I talk to my mom all the time. And so for a person not to talk to their mom, to me, that was like, hey, something's not right. That was the one red flag.
Okay. Cause I was gonna say, I just lost my thought, you guys. I'm trying to think about what I was gonna say. It's late. Okay, so I'll come back to whatever I was thinking. Okay, so leading up to that, you guys, you said he was like perfect. At what age, how did you guys go by getting married? What age was you guys when you got married? How did that lead up to marriage?
So I was in the military, lived in Oak Harbor, Washington. That's where I met him. And He had got out before I did. And so we were already talking about, hey, we're going to start this family. We're going to do this. This is what we're going to do. And I didn't want to move back to New York because the cost of living is too high. And I love the beach. So he was like, hey, why not move to Alabama? I said, well, what's in Alabama? So I used to live in Pensacola, so I knew the beach was right there. So we built the house. And in the midst of building the house, he said, hey, why don't we get married? So one weekend, I flew down here. We got married. And when we got married, it was sunny. When we got out of the courtroom, it started pouring down rain. We were drenched, even walking to the car, which was like not too far away. And now that I'm looking at it, the parking lot was literally maybe about 20 steps away, and we were soaking wet. It was like God was saying, "You shouldn't have did it. Here's the downpour."
Wow. And I know what I was going to say when I couldn't remember my thought. Like, people always say, well, there's got to be, you say the only red flag that you saw was that he didn't talk to his mom or whatever. And people always say it was some red flags, you just missed it. Are you for sure that was like the only red flag? No sign of control, no sign of temper. Just like, do you think that was the only red
flag? You talking about before we got married?
Before you got married, when you looked at him as this perfect guy, there was any signs?
Not beforehand, no.
Okay. So after you guys got married or whatever, and at this point, was you in love? When you got married to him, was you in love?
I was in like a lot.
Like, I never used that word, like a lot. I gotta use that. I was in like. Wait, what do like a lot? Like, what do like a lot mean? I like him a lot. Going around a lot. Let me write that down. Like a lot.
Yes, I loved him. I did. I was in love with him. Okay. I liked him a lot. Yes.
In love and like a lot.
I was in love. I think I was.
Or was it a lust? Because like a lot, in love, and lust. A lust, they can go with the lust, the like a lot. So maybe it was a lust.
I was in love. I was all googly eyed. I was in love.
But that could still be lust.
It could.
You said like a lot. So we're going to say I thought
I was in love. Okay. I was in like a lot.
Okay. So, did I just ask you this? What was life like after you guys said I do? What was life like after you guys?
It was nice. I flew back to Washington
right after the wedding.
Right. I flew in Friday. I flew back out Sunday.
Okay.
And everything went back to normal except I was married. But he was here and I was still in Washington. Okay. So things didn't begin to change until I moved back. I moved here.
Okay. And that was my next question, which you already answered. I was going to ask you at what point did things slowly start to change. So you just answered that. Okay. So my next question to you is, when did you start to notice him becoming controlling? And what part of your life did he try to control?
He
did.
He controlled what I wore. He controlled how I wore my hair. He controlled if I wore makeup. He controlled who I hung out with. It was a constant, who you going, where you at, who you with, I need to be there. No, you can't wear that. Here, put this on. Here, wear this. Here, go here. Here, this is where we're going. No, you don't want to do that. So, to me, that was him. You thought looking out for me.
Right, expressing love. Because I have heard women say, like, well, that just means, like, he loved me, he's concerned about me. So you kind of look, and ladies, look, we giving you a warning sign. That ain't love now.
That's control.
That's control. Anytime in your spirit you feel uncomfortable, but you compromise anyway, it's probably something that's not right. But yeah, a lot of women say, like, you know, I thought he loved me, you know, he protected me and stuff like that. So that's definitely a trick of the enemy.
Yes.
Okay. What did a good day in y'all marriage look like, and what did a bad day in y'all marriage look like?
A good day. A good day was waking up, maybe going for a walk. At the end of the night, having a drink. We were young, so I guess going out to the club, that was fun. A bad day. A bad day was me crying.
Hmm.
We being in two separate rooms, me feeling like it's my fault. What did I do this time? Or how can I fix it? That was a bad day.
So, did the bad days bring fear to you? And were you ever afraid of him? Because, like, I have heard of people in controlling relationships, but they don't be scared of the person. They kind of just like fight them back. But was it a place where you was afraid of him with the control?
I don't think I was afraid.
Okay. Which is interesting because in cases like this, you have some women that is afraid, and then you got some women where, they still, they're not afraid.
No, I don't think I was afraid. I think it was more of a how can I fix this kind of thing? Like why is this happening to me? I wasn't afraid of him, so to say.
Mhm.
I don't think I was.
Okay. I remember you saying that he had a lot of insecurities.
Mm.
Did these insecurities stems from any infidelity issues in the marriage, or you think possibly there was maybe childhood issues or his own personal
He
issues?
probably had his own personal issues. I'm sure he did. There was no infidelity within the marriage. I was completely committed to him
Hmm.
because my whole thing was I'm not getting married to get divorced. That's not what I'm going to fight for this. As much as what was happening, I still felt like we had hope. So it was to the point where I was taking everything and saying, look, it's going to work. It's going to work. When in essence, it didn't.
Okay. And which you already answered this question, so I'm going to skip it. You mentioned you thought him being controlling signified love. Let's talk a little bit about that, just to kind of let women know that control is not love. Isolation
Yes.
is not love.
No, it is not.
They don't want to go everywhere you go. Do you think this? I think that's also is another form of control.
Everywhere. Where you going? Can I go to?
Right.
No, I'm going out with my girlfriend. Why do you want to go to? Well, we all can hang out. Well, do you want to be the third wheel? No, we're gonna be
Right.
talking. What gossip? That's what we do, and I don't want to be talking about you and you sitting right there.
I know that's the whole purpose of the date is to talk
Yeah.
about them.
Oh my goodness. But he even controlled what I wore. My whole wardrobe was different because it was tailored to what he wanted.
Right, to what he thought was right.
Yes, I used to wear 4-inch heels.
Ooh, don't tell me you had to live it in
Oh my goodness!
You went to
I
Liberty
went
Hills.
to those little. I don't want to offend anybody, but them little those
Ooh.
usher heels where you stand in the back of the church with them little tiny.
Ooh, I hope you just warm in the house.
No. I went to go visit my friend, and she said, "What are you wearing?" I said, "What? It's nothing wrong." She said, "Okay, whatever."
You will become blinded by
Yes.
it. You will definitely become blinded by it until you look back. You're like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
that was me.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, my next question is, did you think conforming yourself to his controlling ways would make things better? I remember you said by you guys being a newly by you guys being newlyweds, you thought this was the way that it had supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because no one ever really teach you about marriage. So
No,
you
they
thinking
don't.
like you just want to be a good wife.
Yes. So I thought everything was normal. Hey, I'm supposed to do this, this, this. I'm supposed to cook, clean, screw, all of that. When you don't feel like it, look, I don't feel like cooking. Well, what I'm gonna eat? Well, okay, I don't know what to tell you. What did you eat before we got married? Same thing. But it's like, hmm, I had to fit into a box, into his box.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't fit into his box, it wasn't going to work. I came out of that box.
Right, I know because you did. You still in the
I
screen.
came out of that box.
Um, how did him? How did him becoming? No, I'm sorry. How did him being controlling start to affect your mental breakdown? And at what point did you start to mentally break down? Like, like how many years was it? When did you start realizing like this right here don't feel right? It just don't sit right with me, and you start to break down.
Hmm.
Was it like a year into the marriage, 2 years, 3 years?
I don't know. I can't. You know, you try to block stuff out your head, and then when you try to recall it, it comes in bits and pieces. I can't pinpoint at what point, but I know at some point we were, we appeared to be happy to the public eye,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't like that. In public, we were this nice looking couple, but behind closed doors, it was something else. And the question was, when did it become a mental breakdown?
Mm-hmm.
When I no longer saw myself in the mirror. When I looked in the mirror and I didn't see me, it wasn't, it was somebody else, putting on a face for someone else. It, that's when it became, when I knew I was broke.
Mm-hmm.
When I when I couldn't see LaQuinn.
That's powerful that you say that. That you say when you looked in the mirror and you saw, you no longer saw yourself. Hmm. Because and it's powerful that you said it because I mean just not even domestic violence relationships but relationships period. I always hear women where they try to conform to what the man want them to be. I think it's very important. I'm not saying it's not nothing wrong with compromising, but changing your whole identity to please a person and you wasn't that person prior to meet him, I think that's a problem.
Mhm. I remember my hair. You guys, my hair is long, and I don't own a comb. I have a brush.
She don't use combs. We got one right here. She don't want it yet.
So I love putting my hair in a ponytail, putting it in a bun, and that's my go-to style. So with him, I couldn't wear my hair in a ponytail. A ponytail around him, no. If I went to work and I put my hair in a ponytail before I came home, I had to have it out of ponytail and down. So at one point, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just keep putting my hair in a ponytail. So I put it in a ponytail for about a week. We got in the car one morning. He drove me to the middle of nowhere, which I thought was nowhere, but I know where it is now because I live here. So he dropped me off in front of a hair salon and he said, all right, get out. And I was like, what? Get out? So I got out the car. I was like, okay. He was like, now get your hair done. I said, what? He just, and he drove off. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know who was in this hair salon or, oh,
Did they even do your? But did they do your hair cute or was it ugly?
they did my hair cute.
Oh.
It was my, she was my beautician for the longest, and she's now my really close best friend.
Okay.
And I still talk to her to this day. And I went in there and said, cut it all off. And she said, what? Cut it off? I said, just chop it all off. She said, no, I'm not going to chop your hair off. She said, because you're doing this out of emotion. And she knew that with me even walking in there. I said, nope, just cut it off. She said, no, I'm going to do you a nice style. And so she did me a nice bob and kind of sort of taping it off in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nice. But hey, when you have a short hairstyle, that means you have to constantly do your hair. Oh, that wasn't me at all.
Girl.
I couldn't put it. My ponytail is about this big. Y'all, this big.
I hope you won't win in a
And
ponytail.
I couldn't even put it in a ponytail because there wasn't nothing in the back to catch it.
Well, thank God, because I didn't want you to be walking around with that type of ponytail.
I was so happy when it grew back. Oh.
Girl. Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned it started with him. You mentioned that when the it didn't start as abuse in the beginning. You say it was little signs. Okay, so you mentioned that it wasn't just initially him hitting you or whatever. You mentioned it started with him throwing things, then pushing and wrestling. Okay, my question to you is there's a ladder to domestic violence? Do domestic violence just start off as domestic violence, or do it start off with little things and it becomes bigger, it grows?
Oh, it definitely grows. Because first, for it to escalate to being physical, it has to be mental. You have to have you're gone at this point once it become physical. And when it became physical, I was going back to who I was, meaning becoming myself and not conforming to him. And he didn't like it. So he couldn't get my mind anymore. So he started attacking me physically. So that physical became like, okay, so I can't control your mind. So I'm going to throw this at you. I'm going to hit you with this. I'm going to do this. And it was like, okay, so now you're here. Here meaning you can't control this part of me. So you're going to control this part of me with physical, because I wasn't going to tell anybody because I was too ashamed. Look, Quinn, what? Not her. You're too strong. Women, let me tell you, strong women go through domestic violence and no one and won't tell anybody and put a smile on their face and keep it going. And then as soon as they get home, it's like all the makeup is running. You are a different person. Don't put on two faces.
Let me ask you this: when you said strong women experience it too, when you in domestic violence relationship and you can't completely take your anger out on that person, do you ever was you ever in a place where you took your anger out on friends, family, employees? Like, how did you how did you balance your anger, or did you manage it, or did you take it out on other people?
I used to write. I don't used to. No, I still write. I write. That is how I released my anger. So as I wrote how I was feeling, as I cried on the paper, as I prayed to God, that's how I released my anger, because I didn't want to be angry because I've been to anger management, you guys. And I would get upset too, like I would throw a chair or knock something down, but that was nothing compared to what he was able to do, because he was bigger than I was, he was stronger than I was. So overpowering him was a yeah, right.
Okay. So after experiencing the throwing things to pushing and wrestling, it still didn't process to you. Did it? It didn't process to you that he was. That I remember you saying that after experiencing him throwing things, pushing and wrestling, it still didn't process in your mind that this was still a domestic violence relationship. Because at that point in time, he still wasn't hitting. It was just more of anger, aggressiveness.
Correct. That's exactly what it was. You don't see it as being domestic violence because at that point you're mentally not yourself. You're not strong willed to receive it as he's putting his hands on me. I need to stop this because you're weak. I was weak. I was mentally weak. So he broke me down mentally. Then he tried to physically break me down. And
So, would you say, just to let other ladies know, because sometimes women be like, "Oh, it's not a big of a deal." So, would you say to another woman, throwing things, pushing and wrestling, these are signs of the start of domestic violence?
not necessarily. You have to know your predicament. Because with my husband now, we don't wrestle, no. But I might, I might, now I might like walk past him and say, "Hey, how's it going?" And he'll look at me like, "Hey." But with my husband now, he never put his hands on me, ever. And I don't put my hands on him in the manner where I want him to hit me, but he has never, his mouth is slick, but he has never tried to break me down as far as physically. And sometimes his words kind of hurt now, but he's 100% honest with 95% of the things. The other 5%, I'm stubborn, and eventually I'm gonna take heed to what he say. But it's like he's not this. He's not the same. He is controlling, But what man doesn't want control of his home and his situation?
That's a different type of control.
Yeah.
So
He doesn't want to control me.
right. So let's break that down. Yeah, not
Yeah.
control her life.
No.
That structure.
Structure.
It's the word.
Yes. That's what he wants. He
It's the
wants
word.
structure. He wants control of the structure of his home and the dichotomy of it, of how it breaks down. And that's fine.
Right.
That's not domestic violence.
Right.
That is being a man of the house.
That's all right. So
Yes.
we want you guys to understand, and not controlling as far as her dressing, her hair, and that stuff. Just basically making sure that he have structure in the household, which any man should want, and some type of structure in the household. So, okay, let's go to this. I remember you stated that when your cousin moved in for 6 months, everything stopped because he wanted to paint a perfect picture. How did that make you feel? And did that show you that possibly he could have self-control? Because if all this, throwing and pushing, all this stuff was going on, but he stopped all that for 6 months, I mean, it kind of was like, well, you got some sense.
Mm-hmm. Or you just wanted to show people who you thought they were. And that's exactly what he did. Even in the church. No one knew in the church what was going on. I was a part of the choir. He was a part of the choir. He's cleaned the church. We did a whole bunch of things in the church. The church didn't know. So if someone move in my house and you're showing a face that you are portraying to the world, yeah, it's like, wait a minute. You know how to not hit me or beat me with your words. Why don't you do this all the time?
I guess he knew how to suppress it. That's definitely suppressing it. And okay, so you said after she left, how long did it take for him to turn back to his normal self and get back into his normal routine after she left?
About a week. I don't know. It was not that long. It was like the switch was turned back on. Click. No, like you click the light off and on.
So what did a daily life for LaQuinn look like living in a domestic violent marriage? You from the beginning where, okay, I love this person, this is the perfect guy, the ooey goobies. What's your word you said? Like a love?
Like a lot.
Write that down. Like a lot. To now you in this place of having a completely different transformation to a domestic violence relationship. So what is the difference? What did that look like going from that place? We knew what that place looked like, but what it was the place of living, like, this is really my life now. I'm living this.
I drank a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I would wake up like Monday through Friday. I went to work, get up, go to work, walk out the door. I would leave work and go to the bar every day. I would drink like a pitcher and a half of beer because that was what I did. I drank everything away so that when I went home, I was completely numb to whatever was coming. And that was, gosh, I'm saying this, and was I alcoholic?
Yeah, you was. You was. Probably had a big old belly.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
So when you drunk like that, did it really help Norm when you go home? Did it make it easier? Or did it really?
It did.
It did.
It did, because you didn't have to face it. It's like, okay, first of all, I'm intoxicated. I don't know. I shouldn't even say this. Gosh. I'm drinking to numb myself so when I get home, I don't have to face reality.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, you got people do that now, and they not in a domestic violence relationship. I mean, people do that just to cope with everyday life and problems that they have. So, I mean,
I drank, and I went home, took the clothes off, took a shower, lay in the bed, or sat down and watched TV. I know one thing that was interesting is talking to my family. I used to talk to them all the time. I still talk to them all the time to this day. And he controlled how much I talk to my family. Once upon a time, you used to monitor they didn't have unlimited plans once upon a time. So I would monitor my calls, and I used to call my mom, my sister, everybody. And talk time was about 5,000, over 5,000 minutes. When he told me I had to stop talking to them as much as I did, my talk time went to 250 minutes
A month?
a month.
Wow.
I was only allowed to talk to them to and from my commute from work. If I was in the house, I could not pick up my phone. If it rang, people better not call me. It was like they kind of got the point that, hey, don't call her during this time. And I think at that point, they kind of sort of started to realize what was happening, but didn't want to say anything. And to this day, my mom said, look, when I knew, I said, well, why didn't you say anything? She said, because I couldn't. I couldn't tell you what was going on in your relationship. I couldn't tell you you had to leave. You had to want to leave. You had to get tired and had to feel worthy enough that you had to leave.
Okay. So, okay, ladies, we're about to go a little bit deeper. So, if you don't want to, just let me know.
Okay.
If it's something you feel uncomfortable talking about, we're gonna go a little bit deeper, ladies. All right. People don't believe that in a marriage you can be raped. This is not a talked about issue, but this is an issue, ladies. This does happen, and I remember, talking about this in law school. But anyhow, this doesn't talk. This is not a talked about issue amongst women, and just like period. But this is an issue, and this does happen. Do you gently mind sharing your experience of feeling raped with the ladies? And
No, I was.
I want to, make the words, being, I can't say that word. I just wanted to put feeling raped. I had to make sure I don't want to be as sensitive as possible. Of feeling raped with the ladies, and how did it make you feel? And do you currently suffer trauma from feeling raped? So let's go. Let's do one question. There's so many questions. So do you mind gently sharing your experience of feeling rape? What did that look like? How did that happen? Your first experience, was it a one-time experience? Was it a multiple times experience?
It happened on more than one occasion. But it's like you can't say no. If you say no, I'm still your husband and your body belongs to me, so I could do what I want to it. So in my last marriage, yes, my husband, he did rape me. He repeatedly. And you just, what, you gonna push him off? You can't. He's bigger than you, he's stronger than you, he's holding you down. So what does it look like? It looks like rape. It feels like rape. It feels like you're being forced to do something you don't want to do. And then you look at your partner in disgust, like, how could you do this to me? I'm supposed to be your wife. And I told you I don't want to do something, and yet you just took it. Because why? You could have just waited. Maybe I wasn't in the mood at that particular moment. Maybe you could caress me or something, but yeah.
Okay. Do you currently um suffer? You want a second?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Do you currently, and you guys, I just really want to I really appreciate her just telling it. That means a lot, and for her to be able to share that not only with me but with you guys also, to you guys. So definitely we really appreciate that. um do you currently suffer from any trauma from that in your current life with those experiences?
Mm. You do bring marriage baggage to your relationships. And yes, I did bring this baggage to my current marriage. I brought the baggage of, I was confident, but I still had that insecurity of, am I good enough? Are you going to see my battle scars from my previous relationship? And he loves me in spite of everything. I know I can say no to him, and he can say, you know what? Forget it. We won't have sex. Sometimes it doesn't feel good, but he accepts that no, I don't want to do this. And he understands how certain positions I'm not comfortable with. I don't like being held down because it triggers something in my brain where I feel defenseless. So our sex life is awesome, but it's
We're gonna talk more about that. No, I'm just playing, you guys. No, we're not.
it's
Y'all know
different.
it.
It's it's different because maybe he might want to tie me. You're not gonna tie me up because I don't want to feel vulnerable.
Right.
And you're supposed to want to feel vulnerable with your partner, but to
I,
some extent,
I won't even want to be tied up. And I ain't never experienced that. Because they may try to beat my butt and stuff. And they're like, I'm going to get you back when you get on my nerves. So, we not doing that. We ain't
oh
doing
my goodness.
that. So, after experiencing that trauma in your marriage and after leaving it, did you ever like go to counseling or did you just try to deal with it and
I
heal?
go to counseling.
Okay.
I'm always in counseling. This is the longest I've been out of counseling. I had my daughter a year ago, and I've been out of counseling since I've had my daughter.
Okay. While dealing with sexual and physical abuse, how did it make you feel to hear your husband say, if you go to the cops, they would never believe you because I don't leave bruises on you? That's deep.
That hurt.
Yeah.
That hurt because he knew exactly what he was doing, and for him to say that, it left something in my head saying, you know what you're doing, you know you're evil.
Right.
And for you to say, I don't leave bruises, really? So you intentionally trying to inflict harm on me so that no one else can see but me. You're breaking me down. Why? Why do you want somebody who's battered, wounded, and how can I uplift you if I'm so low that it's like I'm the chewing gum on the ground? That's
I guess it goes back to the saying that people always say that hurt people hurt people. So he can't lift you or make you feel uplifted because deep down inside he's really broken. So it's like you can't really expect for him to give that. I think even to want to acknowledge it.
acknowledge it.
Okay, at this point, you're suffering in silence. You said you started going to the bar every day, which you just discussed before going home. How was it? I'm sorry. How was this taking a toll on your mind, your soul, your body, and your spirit?
Well, I was fat. I was heavy from drinking. I looked like I was about 70. And my life, it felt like my life was over. Like, not over in the sense of there's nobody who I can talk to, who I can turn to. It's just me. I'm isolated. And at that point, when I realized, hey, LaQuinn, this is not you, I started slowly coming out of that box that he wanted, this little cube. Oh no, it started opening up. Here you go. I'm coming out. That's one foot. Here's my leg. Here's my arm. And I came out that box. I started hanging out. I had a social life, and he hated that. Oh goodness, I had a social life without him, which was a big no-no. But guess what? I did it.
But how did it affect you mentally and spiritually wise?
Mentally, I was during the time or when I was coming out,
During the time.
I was broken,
Okay.
completely broken.
Okay. I remember you stated that when all this first started happening, you was like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to me. Like this is my life. At that moment when you thought that, and you at that moment when that thought dropped in your mind, what hit you? What happened in that moment when you was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is really happening to me. This is my life.
Mm, I don't know. I really can't. I can't. You're in shock. Like this is not how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. I don't. I don't even remember the question.
Let me repeat it. Okay. I remember when me and you was talking, you stated when it started happening and you was experiencing this, you had a thought that came to your mind that you was like, I can't believe like this is my life, like this is happening to me. What hit you at that moment when that thought came to your mind? Like was at that point when that thought came to your mind, was you guys in a physical altercation, or did you just see your life like, oh my God?
I saw my life as this is not where it's supposed to be.
Okay.
This is not how I'm supposed to live. I'm not supposed to be trapped up like this. Oh, no, no, no.
Okay. When you look back, did fear play a factor in the physical abuse? Like, did you fight him back, or did you? And you don't have to answer that question if you want to.
Did I fight him back?
Yeah.
Physically?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
How?
Because in some relationship people do fight.
I'm gonna hit him
So
back.
did fear play a factor? The reason you didn't do it, or did? Because I have heard people say they didn't do it because they just wanted the situation to die down because they felt like fighting back would escalate it even more.
Mm-hmm.
So that was your reason for not fighting back, because you felt like it would only just
It
kind
will
of
get worse.
escalate it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, just go ahead, let this happen, and just
And
get it
let it get it
over
over
with.
with. Kind of like when you get in a whooping with your parents.
Supposed to fight them back?
No, this is look. And I don't want to put this in the same thing, but if you hit your parent, what's going to happen? You're going to get a longer whooping and it's going to hurt worse. Same applies. You do not hit.
I tried before, but it didn't work out.
Oh, no, I was into this. That would never. I would walk away from my mama. All right, mom, that's enough. Okay. All right, mom.
Yeah, that whipping got worse. And then I was like, I ain't gonna try it. Okay, my next question to you is, how often did the physical abuse occur?
I don't know how often, because you tend to black it out and everything runs together. So often, I would say maybe every 2 weeks, every week, every day. It just runs all together. There's no such thing as, okay, every Friday, get my head punched in. Every Thursday, he gonna cuss me out.
Right.
No, it's just one big. Oh, it's Friday.
Okay. Um, what usually would lead up to him wanting to be physical with you?
My defiance. Me not conforming. When I was coming out of his box, that was the worst ever been, because I was no longer taking what he was saying, what he was doing. I had something to say. You can't do this? Yes, I can. You're not going to do this? Yes, I will. And that was by far the worst thing I could have done and the best thing I could have done, because at that point, it allowed me to find myself again.
Okay. So at this point, let's be clear, because in the early stages, she said he would push, wrestle, and throw things. Okay, so we passed stage one. Now we're in stage two where he's actually physical. So I just wanted to put that out there. Um, After physical abuse will occur, which you see this on TV or you just hear about this, will he buy you gifts and make promises to you after being physical abusive with you, like, I won't ever do this again, I'm sorry, or he would cry like, I got a problem? Will he do that? Will he ever do any of those things, or it was just something he did?
I remember this one particular time I shut down completely, like mentally, physically. I was gone from reality altogether. My house was a mess, everything. You couldn't even tell me what day of the week it was. I just knew I had to get up and go to work. So it had to be Monday through Friday, and the weekend was coming. Um, and something happened. I don't know what happened. I cannot pinpoint it, but I know that the apology was I had a dress and some shoes and some jewelry when I walked in the house. It was hanging from the ceiling fan, and it said, I apologize. Could you please come back to me? meaning come back to me physically, because I was not there. I was a zombie. So he wanted like some type of something, and I couldn't give anything. I couldn't laugh. I couldn't do, I just,
Broken.
I'm completely broken. And so at that point, I was like, okay, let's try this all over again. And it was a cycle.
So when he first started buying you gifts, and after he been, did what he did in the beginning stages, did you know the gifts was wrong, or did you kind of feel like, well, okay, that's a possibility? Like,
Always saw a possibility of him changing.
okay,
Always. And even to this day, I don't know how he is, but I pray that whoever he's with, if he's with somebody, the same thing that was happening to me does not happen to the new person. Because I still feel that maybe he can change. And even then, I felt like he can change. Maybe he just need help. I couldn't give him the help, so I had to go. But maybe in my absence, he got some help. I doubt it. He tried to run me over. So, no, he didn't get no help.
okay. So you guys, we're going to stop this video because I want to break this video down to 2 parts, because if I don't break this video, it's going to probably be about an hour and 30 minutes. And yeah, I know y'all be like, well, we ain't got time to be sitting down there long watching this video. So what I want to do is give you guys 2 parts or whatever. So I'm going to stop this video and we'll be right back. Bye.